Funny,
What?
my kids do that,
Okay.
and older folks do that, but I don't do
Yeah.
that. They're used to the touchscreen.
I have an iPad. I'm used to the touch screen. That's true.
My kids don't do it.
All right, welcome and thank you all for being here for this month's Coffee with the Mayor. Our topic every November for the 11th year is the Olivet Turkey Trot. And we have a partnership with Jewish Family Services and the Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry. In attendance with me today at the chairs is David Moons, who is the lead, total wonderful preparation, get everybody organized, leader of the Turkey Trot preparations. Previously, it was Jeff Springer, and David was being mentored and has now taken over that leadership, and we are much appreciative of that. We also have Marianne Seidenfeld, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Jewish Family Services. Again, there is the Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry that feeds a lot of people within our region, some within our own community. And we've had an 11-year relationship with them. Much appreciative of that partnership with you. So also in attendance in the background, we also have a Jewish Family Services Communications Coordinator, Matthew DeKinder, and Jewish Family Services Development Director, Elizabeth Monchifufo, if I please. Okay, very good. I'm gonna give you a little bit about Miriam and then a little bit about David, and then we're gonna go into some fun questions and answers. All right? Miriam is the Chief Executive Officer of Jewish Family Services, which is a service that's boasted over 30 years of experience working with families and children, as well as 20 years of leadership in the nonprofit sector. In her role as CEO, Miriam is dedicated to furthering JFS's mission of supporting individuals and overcoming their challenges and living vibrant, healthy lives, something that we do share in common. Prior to joining JFS, Miriam served as the executive director at Temple Israel in Minneapolis, which is the 8th largest Reformed congregation in the United States. In this position, she spearheaded a $30 million capital and endowment campaign, supervised a $20 million building project, and led the development and implementation of an ambitious new strategic plan. Wow. Before her time at Temple Israel, Miriam directed an innovative career development program for middle and high school students living in underserved neighborhoods of New York City, as well as leading the Fresh Air Fund's Friendly Town program, which provides free summer vacations to more than 10,000 children across 13 northeastern states. Miriam's expertise in fundraising, strategic planning, management, and operations has been instrumental in guiding JFS as the organization expands to meet the evolving and growing needs of the St. Louis community. Miriam holds a Bachelor of Science degree in Human Relations from the University of Minnesota and a Master's of Science in Social Work from Columbia University. Impressive. I didn't realize we had some very common things.
We'll talk.
All right,
A trip down
welcome.
memory lane.
And David Moons, an Olivet resident who has leaped in for years to be a part of coordinating and organizing the Olivet Turkey Trot. David Moons is an Olivet resident of 11 years and father to 3 children attending the 5th grade center, middle school, and high school. Boy, I bet you get a lot, don't you, from the kids?
3 drop-offs.
Yeah. He had 3 drop-offs, you're right. He's an experienced business executive, and as president of his family-owned company, Angie Mountain, he has successfully positioned the organization for sustained growth through innovative consumer products for home and office. When I looked you up, you had some really beautiful rugs, really very cool rugs. Beyond his professional focus, Davis dedicates time to various community and philanthropic initiatives. He currently serves as vice president on the board of directors for Pedal the Cause, an organization dedicated to World Without Cancer. He serves as a commissioner on the Olivet Economic Development Commission and is a team member in the organizing of the Olivet Turkey Trot. David earned his bachelor's degree in business from Indiana University's Kelley School of Business, and later he obtained an MBA from Washington University in St. Louis, Missouri. Welcome to both of you for being here with the mayor for Coffee with the Mayor today. I'm gonna start with David.
Great.
First, I see a Berkey jersey in a frame over there by David. Just a little hint. There's tickets that you could purchase. It's gonna be raffled. Talk a little bit about that before I get into other questions, David. Important stuff first.
Yeah, this is the one of the many important things, I guess. I think what's exciting about the Turkey Trot is that every year the team, including Beverly and folks from the Parks Department, is that we try to add something new and different. And I'm a very big fan of our city team, although they were terrible this year. But Roman Berkey is an amazing goalkeeper, and so we found a way to get a signed jersey, and we're raffling it off. And all the proceeds from the raffle are gonna go to the food pantry, which is exciting. Raffle tickets are $5 a ticket or 5 for 20. And we're really just excited to add some more pizzazz to the day.
All right, new stuff for Turkey Trot
Every year.
pizzazz, every year. All right, David, we're gonna go down history lane a little bit here. Tell us about the history of Olivet Turkey Trot.
So the history of the Turkey Trot started 11 years ago. This is our 11th running. And it was because the founder of the race, Jeff Springer's brother, was in town.
Yes.
And his brother never, or always ran at a turkey trot. And they wanted to run in a race here, and the closest one was Kirkwood or Chesterfield or something. And Jeff, if those of you who knew Jeff when he lived in town, was a very spirited individual. And he said, well, why don't we do it? And so he started it, and the first race, I think, brought out maybe 300 people.
Yeah.
200 people. And this year we're in our 11th year, and I checked this morning before I showed up. We're already at 1,266 runners, which is 250 more than we had at this point last year. So we're expecting to break our record again with runners, which is quite exciting.
Do you remember when we won the
2019, we won the Runners Award because people like it. It's a great race. So we won some Runners World, Runners Circle, something,
Yeah.
some award.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah. With the departure of Jeff, the Turkey Trot founder and primary leader, how has your role and responsibilities changed?
They haven't really changed that much, I think. So last year was the first year that I was the volunteer lead, I think, but I work very closely with Beverly and her team in the Parks Department, and at this point, it's a pretty well-oiled machine.
Mhm.
What's so great about this community is that, the volunteers that show up that morning are the same people that have showed up for almost a decade. So it's not like we have to go out and recruit new people every year. It's really the same group of wonderful people that help bring it to life. And so my role is really not evolved that much.
Mhm.
I do miss having Jeff because he was very detail oriented, but I think we have it pretty well down at this point.
Yeah, I can tell you, we have a city manager that's very detail
Yeah.
oriented that can take the place of that if needed.
Right.
What can we anticipate from the 11th annual Turkey Trot? And obviously, we did already just talk about some of the new elements.
Yeah, so this year, we are gonna be having the third running of the Founders Cup, which was named in honor of Jeff and Ruth Springer. This is a matchup between high school cross-country teams. It's sort of a race within a race. We already have 20 cross-country runners signed up, and last 2 years have been won by Clayton High School, but this year we're hoping that Ladue shows up and takes the title. So we expect more than 30, maybe 40 high school cross-country runners, which is gonna be awesome. The Tiny Trot will be run with a balloon arch this year. I'm committed to, the team is committed to having a balloon arch for these little youngsters to run through. So it's a 50-yard dash. We already have over 30 babies to 5-year-olds set to run that. We're gonna have the raffle. This year we have beer sponsorship from both Four Hands and Urban Chestnut,
But only for the 4 and 5.
but only for the young, to get them to sleep early. Yeah. What else? Oh, we have a new logo and a new shirt, which
Yes.
I don't know if I'm allowed to.
I'm going to let you go. ahead and
Okay, so
sponsor
this
it.
is the new logo and the new shirt for this year, navy, which we're super excited about. There you go.
There you
Yeah,
go.
yep. And we also have some new sponsors. So, I don't know if you're aware, Easy Storage opened up on Olive and they've been very generous to sponsor. We also have continuous sponsor from Dobbs, BJC, Angie Mountain, St. Louis Style House, as well as some other people, Mobile on the Run. And yeah, all these generous people are helping fund the event. So that a lot of all of the extra funds get donated to the food pantry. And at this point, after our 10th year, we have already exceeded $100,000 in donations to the food pantry. And this year, it's going to be more than likely our largest donation ever.
Yeah, it's a good thing. It really is. And while Jeff had admitted he used to sit on the couch and one of the benefits was for him to get up and get moving, what are the benefits of participating in the turkey trot?
You're asking me this question?
Yeah,
I mean, health and wellness is something
There we
that we're
go.
all focused on. I think
Yeah.
we've just left a window of time when we maybe were enduring more stress than normal in a November. So this is a good time to get out and see the community. We'll have all of the major streets closed off, so it's a very safe race. And we'll have our local troop, Boy Scout troop, serving water midway through the race. So if you get thirsty, then you can have a sip of water, but it's a good way to start the holiday. Yes, Beverly.
Thank you so much, David. I also like to point out that this, one of the mission of the Parks and Recreation Department is to create community. And this turkey trot is an amazing community builder because people bring their families, all ages are there, but also people that come from out of the region get to sort of see the beauty that is Olivet because we go through wonderful neighborhoods and it's fall and the trees are turning. So we really think that it's a win-win, and the business development, it really is a way to really build community and all of that. And we are the only turkey trot in the region that is a fundraiser. So the other turkey trots are commercial endeavors, and here we are dedicated to having this race be a builder of community in other ways too. So what better way on Thanksgiving than for us to be able to give to those in need through donations to the region.
so I totally agree. That's what I was gonna chime up on. This is a wonderful community event. Families come together, families come from out of state, come and just have a great time in the morning. And I can vouch that you can go home after 10 years of being at this event and then going home to cook. I can vouch that you can still cook your turkey, you can still cook your potatoes, you can still cook everything and have it ready at 4 o'clock in the afternoon if you come and you attend the turkey trot, and then you go home and you start your cooking.
Is that an invitation?
Is that an invitation? So it is a fun event, and I've checked the weather this year, and hopefully it does look beautiful.
Rain or shine.
No,
We're gonna be
nice.
there, though. Rain or shine.
Right.
There's a question in the back.
Yes, sir.
The major streets are gonna be closed. Last year, I was prevented from making a right turn from Price Road onto Villa, get to my house, which was 1 block away. And I leave my house on Thanksgiving Day around 6 o'clock, I come back around 8. Maybe a little later, people were coming down North Price. The traffic control person there would not allow me to make the turn for 1 block. We need some kind of get out of jail for people who live in the subdivisions. We need to make arrangements with traffic control people who show, an ID to go into the subdivision. Even if it means we're driving slow and the walking pace, to be able to get home or get out.
All right, thank you very much. He was basically indicating that he leaves before turkey trot starts, and he tends to come home while turkey trot is happening, and he wants a way to get into his home while the event is happening. And I know that we do provide notice and information, letting people know what streets will be open and what streets will be closed.
Villa was closed completely.
I understand that, sir, and I'm gonna suggest that maybe you stay away a little bit longer, now that you know when turkey trot happens and when the run typically is over with. This run typically does not take more than, I'd say, 45 minutes.
2 hours for the people.
Most runners are done within the first 45 minutes.
2 hours.
Okay, Miriam, I'm going to go to this question versus David and say, how did the collaboration, while we know the answer already, okay? How did the collaboration with Jewish Family Services begin?
I didn't know you were gonna ask that question, and I've only been in St. Louis for 6 years.
I
and
can
this
answer that then
collaboration
if
started-
you're okay.
I might have, yeah, I know why it's such a great partnership, but if you wanna say
Fred.
how it actually.
Fred.
Freddie Stein.
Yeah, Fred Steinbeck used to be an individual that worked with the city of Olivet. And when the idea of the turkey trot came about, and our city manager at that time loved running, so she also embraced the idea of this event. Fred offered a good win-win community partnership with the food pantry. We were noticing that there were food inequities. And we thought that this would be a wonderful partnership. And that really kind of blossomed from Fred and his ideas and having a great relationship with the city council. And from there, you are now part of that,
That's amazing.
legacy.
It's funny, I walked with Freddie the first year of the turkey trot. We did the walk together, but he didn't tell me that he made the
Yeah.
connection. I thought it might have been Steve Green.
No, it was actually Fred.
But and I don't know if this is your next question, but the partnership was so obvious.
Yes.
Because of, the mission of JFS is to create vibrant, healthy community. And that's exactly what Beverly was saying and David was saying. We're all about health and wellness, whether it's mental health or physical health, family health, community health. And so it serves the same purpose as our
Right,
whole organization.
Right, and again, everyone has heard me say, we're all talking about sustainability. I've always said, mine is social sustainability, and this is a perfect blend for social sustainability. So tell us a little bit about the Jewish Family Services Heartache Balloon Food Pantry, a little history. Tell us about that wonderful organization.
Great. So the food pantry is part of JFS, the larger organization, and that was founded 150 years ago. Serving older adults, improving mental health. We have psychiatry and diagnostic testing for children and adolescents, counseling for people of all ages. We run the largest child abuse prevention program in the county and city. I don't know if anyone who raised children anywhere in the county. The kids probably brought home these little booklets that say CAP on them, and it teaches kids about positive body empowerment. And it all in a very positive way, not in a stranger danger kind of way. So we have the largest program there, the largest food pantry, and again, subsidized in-home support services for older adults, among other programs. The food pantry came about 30 years ago, when one of our case managers who was visiting one of our older adults and checking on them noticed that all they were eating was cereal. They only had cereal in the house, and it led to a deeper conversation. And it's what JFS always does, is we evolve to meet the needs of the community. So if any of you have concerns or don't think there's a social service agency meeting that need, we would love to hear from you. JFS, while it was founded and inspired by Jewish tradition, most of our clients, we serve we're getting upwards of 70,000 people a year now through our child abuse prevention, our clinical services, older adult services, and the food pantry, which is now serving almost 20,000 people a year. And we're not proud of that. People say, oh, we've served 20,000 people. And we want that number to go down and down and down, because we want people to get food in the ways we all do, whether you're growing it or buying it at the grocery stores, or everyone should have access to healthy foods. But because everyone doesn't, and this woman didn't, JFS started a food pantry in the basement of the building that used to be on Olive,
Yeah.
where the Walgreens is now,
Yeah.
right by the Olivet
Right.
City Hall.
Yeah.
And then when Walgreens wanted to purchase that building and we moved over to Schutz Road, it was in the basement of the building, but as it grew from 40 families to 200 families to 300, we needed a bigger space. And now it's in a warehouse on Bower Boulevard, with 10 full-time staff and more than 100 volunteers, who do shifts. We can't do it without 25 volunteers every day, all day. So I'll talk about that. I know that's one of your other questions, but we need volunteers all the time, and we have some of the best volunteers that exist in this community.
All right, I'm gonna go to question number 3, because we've kind of blended a little bit here. We obviously just heard the population you serve, but the more important thing is why donating matters.
And the population that we serve is exactly why donating matters.
Yeah.
So the population is us. I always say it can be any one of us, any day.
All but for the grace of God is what I often tell people. It could be me, right?
Exactly. And I'm gonna tell you, without telling long stories, I might have mentioned one of them last year, but Jenna, they're all made up names, but they're all real people. Jennifer came to the food pantry when she was unemployed for a few months. And she'd been living paycheck to paycheck, but she was able to always pay her bills, whether it was a mortgage or rent. She was able to do everything until she lost her job. And so she came to us for a few months and very excitedly came in 3 or 4 months later and said, I've got a job again. I'm doing great. And ever since then, she's been donating to the food pantry. There's Ron, who worked an hourly job and was always able to support his family and his young kids. His wife experienced mental health issues, and so he needed to spend more time with the kids, to be there in the morning and the afternoon when his wife was taking care of herself, and he needed to be there at those important times. So his hours got reduced until she felt stronger and able to be there for the family. And so they needed food for that period of time. And then there's David, who's a retired individual, and his income doesn't stretch enough for food. So every month, David comes to the food pantry for food. And everyone loved to see him, and he loved to see, because the pantry is a community too. When people come there, they're treated with respect and dignity, and they like to come and tell us what foods they want and don't want to take home with them. But when his grandchildren needed to live with him for a while his daughter was unable to care for them for a short period of time, he didn't have enough food for them. And so during that time, the food pantry was able to provide food for David and his grandchildren until they went back with their mom. But he continues to come because, as a retired individual on a very fixed income, it allows him to pay for his medicine and his rent. So I always say it's us, and that's why it's so amazing that all of you support it with your registration fee or with your what do you call it when you buy a raffle ticket? Because we can't do it without all these. Those are the people we serve.
And through my day job, I've often heard, because we've had to frequently refer to you or the other churches, St. Vincent's, other organizations. The one thing I've often heard when people come to JFS Food Pantry is they weren't just handed a bag of food. They got to go in and be a part of the decision-making on the food that they wanted to take home. Talk a little bit about that.
I will. And how
That's
it's
important.
changed over the years. It's called client choice, right? Just like we go to the grocery store, and if we don't drink milk, we don't buy milk, right? And if we don't eat pork, you don't buy pork. And so we set up the pantry according to this model where people can come in, and if they don't want apples, they don't take the apples, they take the oranges. So they get to select what they want at the pantry. When COVID hit, we went to a drive-through model, and there was less choice, and that bothered all of us. So when people step inside to register for a few minutes, they can let us know if there's something they don't eat or don't want, or we encourage them to give it to a neighbor, just so it gets used. There are always people who need more milk or more whatever we put in the bag. But we're heading back now to kind of a hybrid model, because what we learned doing the drive-through, we can serve a whole lot more people, and the need has grown and grown. That's why this is so important too, and the donations from the Turkey Trot. The need went from 15,000 a year up to 20,000 a year during COVID, and it hasn't gone down because of the economy for some people. And so we're still doing the drive-through, but we've implemented more choice into that. When they come in to register, they're more clear about what they want and don't want. And we're about to go back to and we found that people like the drive-through. People with mobility issues, people with small children, it's so much easier to stay in the car and to pick up your groceries, and somebody puts it in the car. But some people want to come inside again and choose everything that they take. So we're in the next year, we'll have days that people can come inside and days that people can go through the drive.
That new word, it used to be everything is liquid, and now it's everything's hybrid.
That's true.
You know, comforts for what can be a success, even
choice.
based upon choice and limitations.
Can I just make a really quick?
Sure,
comment
go
about
ahead.
donation? So there's money, and there's also donating food. And I know that the food pantry will accept many different types of foods. For those of you that are gonna be participating in the race, we will take food donations at packet pickup and at the city center now and at Five Oaks in this building. On race day, do not bring food. We will not be taking food on race day. We will be taking them at packet pickup and prior to packet pickup at those 2 locations.
Very important thing to put in there in the
Logistically,
caveat.
it's a little.
I will
bit
say
more-
there is a blue bucket at City Center. I know I put my 18 pack of macaroni in the bucket last night. and it sure could use, a little bit more food filling up in that container. And cleaning
there's
the
a list.
container before you put food in it too. But yeah,
To hear if.
right, I was just gonna get to that because the next question is, what should be donated? So before we go into that, I do want to tell those that are here, there is the list here of the Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry and most needed food items and the things that they are not able to accept. And I will basically say, I don't know, I haven't read this yet, but glass, are you accepting glass items? No, I didn't think you were at one
I'll
time.
read the list that our lovely pantry director always shares with me.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
So I know you've mentioned a few times about health and wellness, and I know there's a big push right now for just kind of highlighting the unhealthy ingredients that's in food, with all the different preservatives, high fructose corn syrup, blue dyes, red dyes. All of these things contribute to different health issues. So what do you do to counter those type of ingredients in the food that you accept, so that we're not just providing the food, but we're also doing it in a way that doesn't contribute to health issues in the people that you're serving?
Thank you. Can I?
Yeah, go ahead. You can have that listed as things we are unable to accept, part of the high salt bit.
Right, so thank you, I'm so glad you asked that question. We ask people to donate the kinds of foods that you would feed your families, right? So mac and cheese is a great thing for kids who will only eat mac and cheese, or I actually had some the other night. But we really like, Whole Foods. We get a lot of, we even buy a lot of vegetables when we don't have enough. But we have community gardens that if anybody who has your own garden, if you have too many cucumbers, bring them by.
Yeah.
Because if that goes to 2 or 3 families, that's really important, whether it's extra lettuces or whatever you have. So we're all about fresh whole foods as much as possible. But and the USDA provides a lot of our food, frozen meats that are just
Eggs, cheese.
cheese, but it's changed from the days of when, but they do provide dairy, milk and cheese, but a lot of proteins. But sometimes, so I want to be honest with you. Although, look, I was gonna say, sometimes canned proteins can go a long way. And if a child or an adult who doesn't have enough food to go to school and have the right nutrition, it's better to have something in their stomachs, but not just anything in their stomachs. So we pay attention to that, but it doesn't mean that we don't give out what we have, whatever people bring us. But when we purchase food, we're really cognizant of that. And the USDA has come a long way, and we actually get a lot of really healthy foods from them that aren't overly processed. I don't know how people feel about like the bags of canned, that doesn't make sense. The tuna that's in packages. I don't know if that's. Yeah, we have a lot of stuff like that doesn't have a lot of extra stuff in it. I've never read the bag, but it's, and canned tuna and canned chicken. But we're cognizant of that too, because it leads not only to physical health, but our physical health affects our mental health. At the same time, I'm going to say that we also like it when sweets are given to JFS because it's a nice treat for kids, and even adults who don't always get some of the extra things. And then families who don't have sugar in their diets, which I respect and wish I could do better at. They don't take it, and others, it really is meaningful if it's a birthday or whatever. So whatever you're eating in your households, healthy, a little not healthy, bring it in because, but we do pay attention to that because we agree with you 100%. And we're kind of known for that.
And I will say the consumer world today clearly has heard that message, because if you go back, gosh, I can't remember the name of the place that used to be on Ladue before it became Whole Foods. But if you go back about 20 years, there were 2 or 3 shops, little individual shops, a nutrition shop in Creve Coeur, where those organic or gluten-free or sugar-free products were sold. So the consumer market, when you can go into Schnucks and Deerbergs and go buy, Circle Free, whatever organic stuff, that has truly helped with better foods and better materials, including cans and things of that nature, and how they're coated, how they're not coated. So, really good question for food for thought. And appreciate that.
And can I have one more thing?
Go
One of the
ahead.
ways that the turkey trot support helps us is, we provide foods for people who have special dietary needs, whether it's halal or kosher or low sodium or vegan. And so when we get enough of those things, we always have to purchase the kosher food, which we also use for halal, which we're very transparent about. But sometimes we have to purchase additional items to make sure we have foods for people with special dietary needs. And we can't purchase food without donations like the Turkey Trot contribution. So it allows us to be really helpful to those. Yeah, thank you for the question.
I'm gonna go into what are the other ways that we can support, and that is monetarily. And if you want to kind of describe how someone could provide a monetary donation outside of the yearly Turkey Trot event.
And there are people in the room who do that, so I won't call out names, but thank you to those of you in the room who I know do that annually or biannually or monthly. So you can call us. You can go online. So if you go to jfsstl.org, you can always make a donation. There's a little donate button at the top. And anything helps. $5 helps. We have kids who send us envelopes with, a few dollars in it. And we have people who send us very regular, very generous gifts to make sure that everybody in the community always has food. So you can do that again online, mail in the check. You can transfer money from accounts that you have in other investments. Some people are now giving, they have to make IRA distributions at the end of the year, and they're sometimes giving it to us if they don't have a need for it. Am I missing anything for donations? Just making monetary donations. There's so many other ways to help.
Sure. Volunteering.
Yes, so
Yeah.
let me just say, because I'm looking right at our development director.
I think that covers the game.
Okay, good.
Good, yeah.
Good.
Whatever you want to do, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, so call us if you have a question. And we prefer that you send it to the JFS office, but if you send it to the food pantry, they get it right over to us. I'm also, Elizabeth is working really hard on legacy giving. There are people who want to make sure this food pantry is around forever. So if you're making plans for the future, think of JFS or the Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry as you make. Most of you are way too young to be doing that, but those are the kinds of things you can do. On a now basis, we need volunteers every day, and we have people of all ages volunteering at the food pantry because we have all kinds of jobs you can do. Some people come once a week for their shift, and they get to know their pals who are volunteering at the same time. And we have people who come once a year. They bring their family and they call in advance and ask if they can come. So there's no one way to do it, or people from their company call and they want to bring 10 people one day. We need to pack bags of food. We do all kinds of things. We wash the crates to keep them clean. We have all kinds of jobs, and we find one that's right for you and that you're interested in. So you can volunteer, you can donate money, you can donate food, as David said. Your children, yourselves, you can do your own, what are they called? Not collections,
Food drives.
food drives. Thank you, Matt. At schools, at businesses, in your neighborhood. We've had teenagers go around their neighborhood with flyers and then pick up the food. So there's so many ways, and you can just bring that by anytime. If you come after 2:30, there's less traffic in the parking lot, but if you come before, they're happy to accept one grocery bag of food or a station wagon full of food anytime, or 3 cucumbers. And I'm not kidding. People will bring by literally a bag of basil because they had extra basil, and that goes to a family or multiple families, and that's really meaningful to them. So whatever you want to contribute.
Yeah.
I want to make sure I'm not forgetting anything, but those are the key ways to help. The other way I say is, since all of us are into community, invite somebody over to your house for lunch or dinner. Like, we've lost that art, and we forget that if somebody has 3 little kids at home, it can be really expensive. And if you have extra sandwiches, people really appreciate that. And then you've spent some time with your neighbors. So there are lots of things you can do. Yes.
I just wanted you to maybe mention the Garden of Eden at the J, and also.
Yes.
You were talking about bringing sweets. Do you accept homemade sweets?
That's a good question. I don't. think-
So the garden question, Garden of Eden and homemade
Okay.
sweets was the question.
So it's funny, when I say bring food from your garden, I'm out in my head is the Garden of Eden. At the JCC, there's the biggest garden I've ever seen with the most beautiful, fresh vegetables that they grow. The whole community helps grow it. Are you one of the
No,
volunteers?
but my friend Myra.
Wow.
Church.
Is it Myra Rosenthal? Myra has been running the garden for years voluntarily. It's like a full-time job. She gets up early in the morning, she goes home late. She started a composting program where families in the community compost and then bring it to the garden. And the stuff we get, I mean, everything from green beans to okra to maybe carrots to like, it's just boxes full all summer long of fresh vegetables. So, and there are other gardens that do the same thing. They're just one of the largest. So we get tons of, and I mean, literally tons of food from them every summer. I'm not using that to exaggerate. So thank you for bringing that up. So if you want to help there, she's always looking for volunteers, but she has a nice group of them. And it's the most gorgeous stuff because they really know what they're doing. But you should still bring from your gardens and we won't judge. We won't compare the produce. Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. But I know Garden of Eden. I should get the names of the other ones. Some churches have gardens, some synagogues have gardens and they bring us the produce.
Citywide has it as well in the
Who
city.
does?
Yeah, city in St. Louis, citywide garden, yeah,
Ah,
in the city of St. Louis.
great, thank you.
I have a question for you.
With the
And
homemade.
then you had a
bacon-
second question. yeah.
Homemade bacon.
Oh, homie.
I have to ask, I know once a year, there's a synagogue that bakes Thanksgiving pies and they're handed out and they do it in mass. I don't think we're allowed to take handmade stuff, but I'm gonna check and I don't know if we can send an email. I can certainly get that information to you. I think the answer is no, which is unfortunate because it's healthier than what is in the baked goods in the grocery stores. And I'm not encouraging you all to only bring in baked goods. It's just a special treat for people. So when we love to give it out when we have it, but let me find out for you. I don't know if you guys know.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know whether that would fall under the leftover from a family meal or event kind of mentality. Okay,
Typically,
all right,
no,
okay,
but I'll check just to be sure, but probably not.
okay.
I had a question.
Go ahead, David.
If a family is in need, how do they engage with the food
Yeah,
pantry?
it's a great question in many different ways. They have to hear about it, so talk about it all the time, just like talk about the garden, bring it up whenever you can. Ask your schools or your churches or synagogues or wherever you're part of community to make sure people know that it's there, because it's there for everybody. It's called the Harvey Kornblum Jewish Food Pantry. I often just call it the Harvey Kornblum Food Pantry, not because I'm embarrassed about the Jewishness of our organization or how we were founded, but because it needs to be accessible to everybody. And it is. All ages, all genders, all races, all sexual identities, all abilities. It's all of our services at JFS are open to everybody. So tell people they can show up at the pantry, so they can Google it and go there on that day. They don't need to make an appointment. They'll be welcomed with open arms. It's for people in the county. During COVID, we were serving people in the city, but now that those food pantries have reopened, we're just serving people who live in the county. But if they show up and they're not eligible for some reason, which is really only where they live, because we don't have an income requirement, because there are people in all income levels who find themselves in tough situations because of medical emergencies or unemployment issues or all kinds of things. You can call us, so you can give them our main phone number and we'll get them there. They can show up at the pantry and we'll get them there. But it's not everybody, shockingly, not everybody knows about it. I think everybody knows about it, but they don't.
And there's also the United Way 211.
Yeah, that can get them to all kinds of services,
Correct.
including.
Correct. And under that, they ask their zip code, where you live, and then they are providing the resources of access to where you can get what it is you need. And, historically working and dealing with, Department of Health and Senior Services and seniors, as well as a younger disabled, I've often seen those cases of medicine or food. And I will share one story. This was a 39-year-old woman who chose not to fill her high blood pressure medicine 1 month so that she could get food in her refrigerator. That month she had a stroke because she didn't take her medicine. And that was my first learning experience, particularly on people of color, with regards to their having high blood pressure, untreated, unknown, or saying, I need to balance this with that. So when we are providing the nutritional needs for those families, it allows them to access what is most important, which is medication. I want to go in a little bit about the change from JCFS to JFS. You know, that is another thing that you managed to accomplish. There's the Children's Fund that you also get assistance with for providing services. So, you know, I do kind of want to social worky, kind of expand this beyond the food pantry so that people understand, because you are right in our community and the communities around us, and even the people living within our community, we all have something of a need that is important. So JFS from JFCS.
Okay, and then the rest. So that's an easy one. When I arrived here, they had already started the process, so it wasn't just me, but JF and CS was a mouthful, Jewish Family and Children's Services. And children are encompassed in family. So if you ever hear JF and CS, it's our Jewish Family and Children's Service. It's the same as Jewish Family Services. It's just to make it shorter. It was easier. We rebranded with different colors, and it's the logos on here. So we're the same organization. We are an organization that in partnership with so many organizations. I mean, the Turkey Trot is one of them, but the Children's Service Fund of the St. Louis County Children's Service Fund is paid for by your tax dollars, our tax dollars. I live in the city, but your tax dollars. And it collects about $40 million a year. I don't even know what it's taxing. Do you know what it's tax on?
I don't.
Like, it could be your housing, it'd be your gasoline, it could be, but they collect a teeny tiny amount from every person when you buy whatever it is.
That's off of retail sales tax, but I could be
From
wrong.
what kind of sales tax?
I thought it was
All
off of retail sales tax,
Okay,
but I
it
could
may
be
be.
wrong.
And they get about $40 million a year, and then they distribute it to nonprofits like JFS, so we can provide services to children and their families. And that's how we pay for free psychiatry for anyone. Again, income level doesn't matter. We typically serve people who don't have access to it because they don't have insurance, or their insurance doesn't cover all of it and they can't afford the copays. But we serve everybody. So psychiatry, diagnostic testing. So we have a lot of kids. Maybe some of you have brought your kids to JFS for testing, because we have really high quality diagnostic testing for learning and behavioral issues. Great psychiatry, medication management, although we try to minimize the medication, that's our philosophy, and counseling for people of all ages, from preschool to older adults of any age, and families and couples. So the children's part is all paid for by Children's Service Fund. And it's free, and we want people to know about it. Because diagnostic testing is expensive for any of us. It's really expensive, no matter how high your income is.
And sometimes the Medicaid programs in the state don't often cover that. It's like, we'll give you this and we'll give you this, but we don't see the medical necessity aspect. And that's where that little chain link of what you can do through the Children's Fund and then getting back into getting the services under health insurance.
Yep, and for older adults, it's,
Yes.
Or any adult over the age of 60, we have subsidized in-home support services. So it's really expensive to have somebody come by as we age. We might just need somebody to help us straighten up a little bit. As we progress in our aging, we might need them either to do more light housekeeping, or to go to the grocery store for us, or to prepare our lunches. It's more than $30 an hour for that. Very few people have that kind of money. And so JFS has funding, and people pay a sliding scale fee based on their income and what they can pay and what their medical expenses are. So some people are paying $0 an hour and we pay the whole rest of it. Others pay $6 an hour and we pay the rest of that. And others, it just goes up to about $18 an hour. And most are under $9 an hour that they pay for that service, so they can stay in their homes, so we can stay in our homes as long as possible, safely connected to our community.
Yeah.
So we have a whole variety of
From
services.
elder care to children, to families, to nutrition. I mean, you really cover the gamut. You really do.
I'm gonna say one more, because this
Go
comes up
ahead.
commonly, financial assistance. We used to only have funds to give financial assistance to Jewish families, because all the sources were Jewish sources. We made sure to expand because there's so many people who just need 1 month of rent or mortgage payment because again, of some unemployment issue or just, it could be anything. And so we now have money through the emergency food and shelter program. And so if you know people, your neighbors, yourselves that are in a bind, you can call and we can help with the utility bills, rent, mortgage, on a temporary basis, but that often is all people need just to get through.
You know, we spoke earlier, I'm gonna be retiring from my day job at the end of March and I'm gonna take a little breather. And then, as I've said, I think I'm coming to JFS. I have some skill set that I can provide as well as continue my drive of social sustainability. I want to thank you both for being here. David, I look forward to Turkey Trot on
So do I.
Turkey Day. And I know that the unwind after that is a pleasure as well to see
Best.
what was successful and what's going to begin to happen next year. The planning for Turkey Trot actually begins again in July every year, kind of
It
sort of.
floats. It
Close.
floats.
So I mean, it's not like a last minute thing. It really is a joint effort of the Olivet amazing city staff, Olivet amazing volunteers, the community and the people that sign up and participate. What was really fun last year for me was seeing more of the dogs. They're bringing their dogs and running with their dogs. I don't know if the dogs are running faster and making the people run faster or vice versa. But I'm gonna, you know, we've had the audience. I'm gonna pop up. Okay, Elizabeth, I saw you there. If you're gonna come up, if you're gonna say something, I'm gonna ask you to come on up so that,
I was just gonna answer the homemade.
Thank you.
okay, go ahead.
Unfortunately, no homemade.
No homemade goods can be donated. Okay, but you know, there are good things out there. Hey, look. Gluten-free Oreo cookies. They are really, really good. Okay, so, okay, Kate,
I was just curious, David, I think you said at the beginning that over the course of the years, we've raised now more, or you have raised.
We,
Okay.
the community.
More than $100,000. Do you have a sense with like the number of people who signed up to run now? Like, is there a target goal?
There is a target goal. Our target goal, and Jennifer's staring at me, like, we're not gonna, and Darren is like punching his computer. Our target is to raise at least 20,000 this year, ideally closer to 30.
and Kate may not have been in when we identified the number of registered.
Right now, we're at 12, probably more since this meeting has started, since it's been so impactful, I'm sure. Right now, we're at 1266. So that is 275 above where we were at this time last year. So we're shooting for 2,000 runners. And if that's the case, if budget comes in, we'll have our largest donation ever.
We've actually raised 119,000.
100, sorry. I think it was last year before we wrote the check, it was over 100
That's true.
or something like that, or
Yeah.
we felt comfortable about putting that on a poster last
Yeah.
year.
90,000 and up since 2015, but it was also the largest contribution ever last year, and it was over 20,000 last year.
Yeah,
We
so
were shocked and so touched, and when you were talking about it, that actually brings tears to my eyes because it really matters.
Yeah, it does.
It really matters.
And this year, you're going to have a table at the event to further represent and be visual to the community and many that don't live in our community that come specifically to be involved in the Olivet Turkey Trot. You know, they tell me, we don't get beer at these other races. You know, we don't get bananas, we don't get fruit, we don't get these bars, we don't get water, we don't get hot chocolate. You know, we just run and we go home. So I think, you know, the city has created a beautiful niche, something that I hope will continue for years and years to come and beyond my lifetime. Appreciative of everybody that's been a part of it, past, present, and future. And are there any other questions out? Yes, sir.
Is it the same route as last year?
same route as last year.
What is it?
And yeah, same route as last year. We there's always been a question of like, what is the max number of runners that we can fit? Not only on our parking footprint at Stacy Park, but also safely on the course. And we're not there yet, which is great, but it's the same right. And I do also want to thank police and fire who do volunteer their time on a holiday, or they spend their time on volunteer's a different word. That spend their time on a holiday, making sure we have a safe race course, and knock on wood, we've yet to have a major incident in our 10 years of running, so that's great.
And if you really want to see something so cute and precious, it's the kids run.
Oh, balloon arch, tiny chop, all these kids get a medal too, they all get medals, it is the most adorable part of the weekend,
What's the age range for the kids?
up to 5 years old. Yeah.
It's 25 meters, so it's
It's
very,
like a,
very
yeah,
short.
it's like a 50-yard dash.
Very short.
And yeah, and next year, if you want to look into the future and the comment about the dogs, I think we might do something with dogs next year. Something to further embrace our
For
best friends. Yeah.
All right, with that, I appreciate your being here today. Have a great holiday. The council will not be having another council meeting this month. We will honor the fact that we all have holidays and we're gonna be traveling. And may you all have a wonderful, blessed Thanksgiving. And let's be thankful. We have a wonderful community. We really do. And it's all because of you. So thank you very much for being here today. Take care. Great.
Well, that was great.
Did you green raffle ticket?
I did not.
Oh.